I would like to think that as she closed her eyes on this world last Monday, shortly thereafter, Maeve opened them and was surprised by the light of God's face. She began to talk to the Almighty, and she's still talking to the Almighty, and she will go on talking to the Almighty for a very long time. Lord, you called her, you can listen to her.
Can't put it down. It's a Maeve Binchy. You can't put them down.
Yeah, we have Maeve Binchy with us this afternoon. We're really delighted.
You see her on the late, chatting, happy, telling great stories. And when you met her in real life, she was exactly the same.
I had this great window of opportunity. I was post-pill and pre-AIDS. And there was a wonderful time that I could have been having sex with everything that appeared. But I was nervous of it and frightened and anxious for what it was. And maybe not offered enough of it.
Agus bhí si mórtasach as an gahar seo agus pobl na cara go bit an nearta bhí a scríomh gur hic si daine.
If you're a journalist, everything you write, even if you write it for the major Irish daily, price 15 pence, 16 D'Lear Street, is forgotten the next day. But if you write a play, everything is remembered and studied and taken great care of.
When I started writing, when I got published in 1990, there was only Maeve. And now look, I mean, there's dozens of us. And she has been a huge inspiration to all of us.
When I came to write the books, I couldn't really put any graphic sex into it because I was never at an orgy. Were you ever at an orgy?
I was never at an orgy.
Scríobh sí faoi téimi domhanda, scríobh sí faoi ábhar agus daoine gur achan daoine timpeall an dam faoi agus guribh gael acu lena character seo agus sin an dríocht a bhí a buint le Maeve Binchy.
I've spent most of my time for the last 3 or 4 years telling lies to people, telling people in the Irish Times that my column was ready, I just couldn't get it out of the computer, yes, when not one word had been written. Telling the people and the publishers that I was writing at the height of my powers when I was on chapter 2 and they thought the book was finished.
We're going to have a look at some of your favourite things, Maeve, and the first is a beautiful, beautiful photograph, isn't it, Marty, of your parents. It's Hollywood-type stuff.
That's my parents, that's my mother and father, and it was taken in Ballybunion in 1938. It's a nice picture, and I got it enlarged, and my sisters and brother and I all have that in our homes, and we have it enlarged and put on our walls, because it's kind of carefree and happy.
Rugadh Maeve Binchy in níos é caracha I dócaí I baile clé, agus is sí an chalín is sinseach de ceathra póistí a bhí ag a tuismóirí. Bhí bert drifóreici agus dróthar amháin, agus dúirt sí a gcónaí go raibh saoil andasaí mar póiste, bhí annachchud gróici dó tuismóirí, agus bhí teach an sonna agus sósta acu a dócaí.
Chuig Maeve ar scoil I gclochar an linmh néfa I gcill iníon lénín. Ach níor aidig le puin gael in a aulam.
I was taught by English nuns in Ireland, and who, at the beginning, like any convent coming in here, didn't realise the importance of the Irish to the people. In fact, I think they often regarded teaching here as part of their missionary service, that one was sent to the Gold Coast or to Era, and there didn't seem to be an enormous difference of degree between them, and I assure you we didn't help them very much either. Well, I learned my Irish by rote, like a parrot. I learned Kiramera mo kij eidig, Nia mo aig is mo loiv, Dera mo kij polrica. This was the way I learned Irish. Now, of course, I regard this as a tragedy.
Cosídas ar an go sim comóraici sa gailge agus bhí sí iirecht lát fiú nach go mór an gailge aici ach bhí an spread aici an scuid gailach aici.
Néidir go chuig mé céim staire ó chaláiste na hallscoile blá clia, ach ba bhíh an táiste mór de bhéamh a bheith na cónaí in Elganis.
People pitied me in the 1950s for living in Dalkey. They said, you poor thing.
So far out.
It was so far out, and it's 9.5 miles from Dublin. And what would you have to promise somebody to give you a lift home to take you 9.5 miles? Not indeed that it was offered all that much, but I mean, if people discovered you lived in Dalkey, it was goodbye after the first dance.
Cha Maeve Shalla kibbutz in Israel, scríg sí litrecha a bhaile a cheola hairchaig na nuachtáin, an son sé sealig múine agus ag scríb go páirtimseach fuair sí deis a peannach ar le páir go gar múl mar iriseoir.
The Irish Times phoned me at home, and I assumed that it must be a libel action, and I couldn't think of what other reason they'd be ringing me and asking me to come in and see them. And all the way in the bus I kept saying, please God, if it's not a libel action, I'll be good for the rest of my life. And when I went in, it wasn't a libel action. They said, would you like to try a job for a 3 months trial? And that was in 1968.
Chuig Maeve in man ibre leis an Irish Times in 1968. Bhí an tír háirseach réabhlóid ar a seoireachta agus políochta a réan, ach bhí faibe bháinnig go Maeve.
She turned around and said to John Horgan, who types this up for us? John said, oh, I'm afraid you're going to have to do that yourself. And John actually taught her over the weekend. But John told me afterwards that all he told her was, these are the only fingers that matter.
Bhí an scríbhneoir bríomhar. Bhí agónaí bhí rud nua le fesin le closán, bhí rud nua le feicáilán, agus bhí mar ag teachta dír ar saoil a bhí fécheil saoil man ábh.
A chonig namrá sin isteach agus dahra siad an iriseoireacht go bunúsach sa tír seo. Mar an níos sin éon bach le mrá teachtasteach a scríomh ag gnú iriseoireacht bheith páirteach sa meán.
Cosú le annachid dá chomhlachadtha sa Times, dul Maeve go rialta sa Pearl Bar i Shráid na Tine.
I've only been in the Irish Times for 4 years, but I suppose I've been here twice a day, and I'd hate to think it was for drink all the time. It's a sociable place. It's a place you can be sure of meeting all your friends, and in fact of hopefully meeting new ones as well, particularly the English journalists, and other people come over to visit because they always seem to regard the Irish Times, quite rightly maybe said, as a source of all information on every possible topic.
Wake up, Maggie, I think I got something to say to you.
In 1964, bhog Maeve go héifig an Irish Times a Lúndan chun míranna a scríomh faoi héal na catharach san, ach bhí cúis eile i cibog go Lúndan, ar a seoir ón BBC, dar bhanim Gordon Snell.
My friend Annie said to her husband, who was a very correct kind of Englishman, I think we should introduce Gordon and Maeve, I think they get on terribly well. And he said, I don't know, I don't interfere, Annie, you see. So she went ahead anyway, so that was great, because we used to meet when she was in London, have a few drinks and chat, and it kind of went on from there.
It took a long time to get to know London. I mean, I thought I'd know the whole of London in about 6 weeks, that I'd know everybody in Fleet Street, and that we'd all be friends and having lunch together, and that I'd know the whole, I'd know where everywhere was. But in fact, I don't know anywhere in London except after 9 years, except on the number 9 bus route. If it's not on the number 9, I don't know where it is at all. I don't know how to get to it.
Bhí alta na Maeve bríomhar agus tráthúil, ach cheirigh sí ainas le mír a bháin fé bhanis Princess Anne.
The Princess Anne wedding was a spectacular piece of journalism because she went in and she sat where the journalists were sitting and she just reported it as if it was a production. A theatrical event. She said it was a fantastic production, but then they are paid much higher rates than Actors' Equity. The trouble is, of course, she got thousands and thousands of hate mail.
Ní raibh sé fristeach irid a bheith a chaile Lúndan le linn na driblóidí.
Well, I think the thing that I object to most of all, in a very selfish way, is that I'm put in a position of apologising for something that I didn't do, that I didn't want, that I didn't share. And that I'm extremely angry with myself for such an apology, because why should I apologise for being myself? I find there's an atmosphere around of forgiveness, that a lot of very nice, decent English people are forgiving me for my part in bombing. And I've overheard my nice little Cockney neighbours saying, Maeve is really very nice, and she was really most upset by the last bomb, as if the normal thing that they would have expected from me was that I would have been dancing up and down the road with happiness about it.
In 1968, fós Maeve Binchy, grá geala Cree, Gordon Snell.
I was married quite late in life. I was always dying to be married, because I thought once you were married you could wear a pink quilted dressing gown and you could lie in bed all day and eat black magic chocolates, and your husband would go out and all you'd have to do was have his tea ready for him when he came home.
Well, léir a gcónaí, go raibh sí go mór an grá. Agus tugann sé sa saoirse de gine nuair a bhí an duine éigin comór san is a bhí Gordon an grá leat. Líonann sé bearnas an anam, agus is mór an tacaíocht é.
Har éini eile, bhí sim ag Maeve in gná héal an gná ghine.
You love gossip. Not malicious gossip, but you love gossip,
Yes,
don't you?
I do.
You do.
I do. I love hearing about people. You'd need to be a right Dumbo to be living on the earth and not be interested in people.
Bích nos go bhéh iorgail ar daoine an san tubes. Agus sé gur minic a chuig sé hard stáisiún a bhí mar ceann chósa ag gusní go cloisigh sí deirde an scéile agus an sin bhegur hí filig.
I've often said I went to a lot of trouble to learn how to lip read so I could make quite sure what everybody in the audience was saying. And I also have very good hearing at the moment. And so I am interested in what people say.
We were having a chat together, you see, across the table, and she said, really worried about that couple in the corner. And they were way over in the far corner. I think they're going to split up. And I said, what? How do you know? She said, well, I've been lip reading what they say. And it's all sounds disastrous. She's saying, I'm going to leave you after the holiday. And he's saying, what? Why?
I'm very upset when I hear about the bad things. I really prefer things to be good because we've such a short time here.
I was a bit put out because I had been talking to her myself, you see. So I said, what about our own conversation? She said, I can hear that as well, because she could do this whatever multitasking in terms of hearing and lip reading at the same time.
Hig Gordon graf talent special ag Maeve, so husa sé tuairt annach chud spragadí chun níos mó fiction a scríomh, ach dar nói bhí si go nóg lena obair ar a seoirte.
So I sat in my office in the Irish Times in Fleet Street and I used to write short stories. So I gathered a whole lot of short stories together and went to a publisher, and he said they wouldn't buy a book of short stories because you're a nobody. If you were a somebody, they'd buy a book of short stories. So then he said, could you put a little spurious link between them?
An son tháinig na leabhar, gearrscéalta ar dúis, Victoria Line agus Central Line.
Bhí tuiscinte ar dhaoine níos mó aon eile, agus daithníocht daoine iad hain in sna character a bhís leabhar. Bhí si an caint na líne a thuirt lé isteach in sna leabhar chomá.
Branim sé Maeve ní mar scríbhneoir ach mar scéalaí. Agus bhaine sí leis seantraidisiún scéalaíochta bhí sa tíir seo agus bhís anmhaithe. Agus sin an cinál scríbhneoir atá go maithaigh Maeve ginseach scéalta faoi grámhaoine.
Néidir go hochtá dó, fáil siach a céadúir scéal Light a Penny Candle. Scéal faoi charadas idir chalín éireannach agus chalín sasanach.
I thought of the idea of friendship because instead of writing about a love affair or a love relationship, I thought of friendship had been something that wasn't really discussed all that much in books.
Domsa den chéadúir bhí méid léamhleabhar faoi éireann a dahan mise, blá clia a ahan mise, chalíní a ahan mise, faoi gaeilge go mbeadh na charactéirí seo.
Especially if you have a friendship between two very different kinds of people, between an English girl and an Irish girl, between a Catholic and a Protestant, between somebody from a big family where there was lots of noise and excitement going on, and a girl from a little lonely and rather perhaps dismal family.
Tá trocht enter achtar le déanamh le ginmhéile an. Over an conspóideach an air na nídeag 8 agus mission sin ag léamh faoin na rudí seo, agus bhí sé just chó simúl. Bhí fearanna ag buint leis an dain a chruthí síos na leabhar seo.
I met Maeve in Cloch Library in 1989. I was working in the libraries and I heard that Maeve was coming to talk to the writers group there. And I said, oh, I'll have to go and see her. So I took a day's annual leave and off I went to Cloch Library, and I was so excited. I remember just the fizz and the buzz when we got there, and then when she arrived, and she was just so lovely and so down to earth.
She loved meeting people at book signings, for instance. People would say, this is from my Aunt Annie or whatever. And she'd ask them about who's that and what she liked. And her marvellous publisher's agent here, one time he leant down and said in her ear, Maeve, stop asking them about who their Auntie Annie is and what she does. The queue is halfway down O'Connell Street. We'll be here forever.
Bhíoh sí ag siar taistil ag nuair na hiúcad leir amach bhíogur í dul taistil. Ach sais fuise bhagónaí fila a rasir bhleach liad, rúid siúr amháine nuair a eicim na scamal os ceann an airfort am bheagnach sa bhaile.
Now, the third thing that you've brought in, Maeve, needs some demonstration. I think you're the best person to do it.
It's a clock with Coronation Street on it. And when it just looks, it's Vera and Jack from Coronation Street on the front. And it wakes you up in the morning. And honestly, I never saw anything I liked so much.
Binchy.
I I'm sure I may not be as elegant as you, Martin.
You're obviously a fan.
I have been watching it for over 30 years. I mean, I would have absolute withdrawal symptoms if I didn't know what was happening next.
We both loved soaps, particularly Coronation Street and Fair City. The day came when Maeve got a mention.
Did I interrupt something?
No, no, no. Come and sit down. More the merrier.
I just came to return this to Deirdre.
Oh, Maeve Binchy. I love Maeve Binchy.
And we said, what? What did she really say that? And people were ringing up saying, have you heard who just got mentioned?
If everyone's ready.
Yeah.
To my son-in-law, Kenneth Barlow, I leave my hardback Maeve Binchy novels. She's put in brackets, a proper writer. I'm not sure what that refers to.
A private joke.
A proper writer. It said in the will. So Ken was extremely miffed, and we were absolutely delighted.
Bhí cameo ag Maeve agus Gordon is subalchroma eile a bíhanló, Fair City.
Maeve. Bob John, yes, hello, how do you do? I'm very pleased to meet you.
Thank you very much. This is Gordon, my husband.
Gordon, hello, how do you do?
Well, we had a bit of a problem. We were up at the community centre and there was nobody there.
Oh, we finished up an hour ago.
So he chatted away and said, can you take our photographs? So he handed me the camera, so I had this actual speaking role suddenly, myself.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thanks very much indeed.
Gordon and I worked beside each other. Like, we have a big long desk like this, and we sit like sort of the twin pianists sitting at our typewriters, working away like this.
Bhí Cardas agus Caidir le ag a merchant. Hahan na rudí ceanna céine lethom, bhí sin an oibrú le chéile, agus an dhéis sin sporty bheith le chéile.
We used to read each other the day's output at the end of each day's work. In the Glass Lake, you had this sort of hermit nun that lived in the wood and kind to everybody, and everybody loved her. And I said, she's really just too good to be true. So we had this rule that you have sulking time. So if you had a critical comment, you said, OK, I'll take that on board. And you're allowed to go away for 10 minutes at the most. So after the regulation sulking time, you came and said, well, OK, I'll give her a bad side.
I had her drowning kitten in a barrel of water. I mean, that could be no greater sin in this house.
You didn't need to go as far as that.
Bhí scialta Maeve anna arúnacht an telefís. Nuair a bhí echoes os gan anú in nún Garabháin I Bort Láirge in 1987, hagach Maeve ar cuairt.
Maeve was obviously involved in the screenplay for the film. She's provided us with some additional dialogue and has been very helpful, but especially it's like having the Queen Mother down.
Dinach scanán da thuairscil Circle of Friends. Le réalta Hollywood, Chris O'Donnell agus Minnie Driver.
Bernadette!
Hahan cóúd an mór le. Sinna fagra sin an scríomh bhí cóla Circle of Friends agus something mar sin. Agus feic sé hen lárnach in ein circle mar sin. Le sprí and le crack agus le chóra.
Hey, Nana.
Hello, Jack.
Looking very lovely as always.
Thank you. So are you.
You're very kind.
You're very welcome.
Are you coming to the match today?
We might.
Well, see you there if you do. Everyone remembers that time in their lives when they were falling in love for the first time and experimenting with sex for the first time. And you know, this movie it's pretty specific in that it's set in 50s Ireland, but I think that everyone will be able to relate to it. And it's, you know, it's a romantic comedy, coming of age story. Please, come and dance.
You mustn't mess me about. I know I may look like a rhinoceros, but I've got quite a thin skin, really. So just be a bit careful with me, or I'll flatten you.
There's kind of overtones and undertones of sex in my books. And when I read the script, they seemed to be terribly blatant altogether. And I thought people were going to say, isn't she terrible now? She sold out for the money and wrote all these terrible things in. But of course, the script written down is one thing, and the way it's done when it's directed on a film is another. And I think they're both funny and delightful and totally in keeping with the period that they were talking about.
Oh dear. I think this is going to be a problem.
Man fórnéad gan échané rannig Oprah Winfrey Tara Road mar leabhar na mísa. céim chun tosig ins na stáit aontaithe.
Bhí grá ag gatainna sa lucht féchanna de Maeve, hahanam leir se go mór leihí agus bhí cocht ionintach mór ag Oprah Winfrey. Bhí siad an star a dhéanamh de scríbhnóir. Is seo a bháin.
Sa bhliain 2000 duach scanán de Tara Road agus bhfuil an príomhréalt leis an údar.
Got to meet Maeve Binchy, have dinner with Maeve Binchy, and I think she's just a wonderful, charismatic woman. I love her, loved doing the project.
Bhí Maeve agus Gordon an cheanúil ar a good cat. Bhíidir bart le feiscint I scialta Gordon.
The first two we called Tex and Sheila. And a friend of ours said, those are very naff names. So Maeve said, all right, I'll give them confirmation names. So Tex became Texas Xavier Binchy Snell, and Sheila became Sheila Attractor Binchy Snell. So he said to her friend, will that do for you? Is that posh enough?
Bhí glunder ar chrí Maeve nar a crochacha portráid sa Gallery Náisiúnta.
I'm very delighted with the whole thing, and I'm going to be coming here quite regularly to the National Gallery, pretending that I'm bringing groups of Americans around, but actually I'm going to be quite sure that they're keeping it on the walls and not taking it down.
Maeve McCarthy, the artist, she actually asked me to sit outside and read the paper. And so I am dimly perceivable on the terrace outside, reading the Irish Times, which I was very flattered about.
Lá bháin chagraigh Maeve Bruntanas Shiri Roman Súldá fear céile a anam ar Rose.
So I wrote to the Rose Society in England and asked them how you got a rose named for somebody. And the man said it was a question of spending some M-O-N-E-Y.
There's always that.
I thought that was fine. I was happy to do that.
She said, I've got you a rose. And I said, oh, that's great. Thinking it was a rose to plant in the garden or to put on the shelf or whatever.
And I said, I don't think he realises that it's going to be called after him, and that for years to come, there'll be people saying, we want a whole hedge of Gordon Snells over there.
That's
and
right.
we'll take 3 Gordon Snells, for the front lawn. It is yellow, flushed with red, which Gordon says looks like himself on a bad day. Right. But I think it's a lovely rose, and I'm delighted.
It is stunning to have a rose actually with your name on it, Rosa Gordon Snell. I'm so proud of that.
Bhuaigh Maeve il amad grada mar ahantas a chud séhir, ach bhór an tualach na blianta fada an móthir.
That I was really only trying to stop doing the publicity because I was tired and lame, and the roads were getting longer and the shopping malls were getting bigger, and I was getting tireder. And if they allow me, as they do now, to write my books quietly out in Dochi, and if there are still people to read them, I'll keep writing.
Díal Maeve Binchy níos mó ná 10 milliún leabhar le linn saoil. Bhí léthirí díleisice ar fuad na cruinne. Ar an trichú lá de bhí úl fethe dóiag, dhiimigh Maeve Binchy ar chlí na fíorne.
If I met God, I'd say, why did you make it so hard for us? Why did you make it so hard for us to believe in you? If you wanted a test for us to get to heaven, why didn't you give us a test on how good we were to other people and how much we looked after other people in this world? Then you'd have had a happier world. And maybe if there was a God, God would explain it to me, but it would be a most amazing conversation.
There's Swedische Maeve, Swedische ban mór le críma mór. Má cara dílis, má comrádi ítach a réire, agus má scéalaí den sco. Agus má chuid go caidir agus cóúdar gríúil ag sprágúil.
I have a picture of her on the shelf, I say every morning, and she's smiling away like mad, and with mischievous face, and it gives me a great boost.
Tonight, in the last of the current series, the panel discuss the meaning of life in Beyond Belief at 11:20 here on 1, while on the way next, there's New Life in the Zoo.